Live from Miami, Florida, broadcasting around the world. You're listening to Patriots Perspective with Christy Tasker. Your news behind the government's facade. Don't fall victim to propaganda or spend another 30 days in the tech gulag. Turn off your tell-lie vision and just listen. Hear the most mind-opening hours of your life as we interview whistleblowers and real patriots for uncensored truth. The Commie News Network and Fake Book cannot control the power of Jesus Christ. Therefore, they have no power over us. There aren't enough Vegas strippers to fake check what's coming. Put in your earphones and avoid the tech tyrants. Subscribe to patriotsperspective.com now and see the evidence and action items to help you take back your God-given rights, government, and expose Satan and his demons taking up residence in your community. Be sure to hit the like or rumble button and comment to tell us where you're holding the line.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry that we are late, but we have the best guest on to possibly tell us what's going on with this financial crisis from the inside out. We've had him on before. We have had the amazing Mike Gill on Pandora's Box is what we call the episode. So you just want to search YouTube on our channel, Pandora's Box. Let me see if I can bring that up for you right now, because you're going to want to watch that one as well, because Mike just blew the lid off of it, man. So he blew the lid off of this one, Pandora's Box right here. So we're not going to go back and talk about all that today. If you want to go back and watch that episode, make sure that you do, because today we have the one, the only Mike Gill. Welcome back to Patriots Perspective, Mike.
Thank you. Boy, that's quite an intro. I caught not even Vegas strippers. I found myself laughing. I'm going, okay. I got to say, I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
But,
well, Mike, people always ask who wrote the intro. I wrote the intro, believe it or not, there are people out there that can do things, you know what I mean? AI didn't write it for me, Yeah. AI doesn't write things like that.
No, that would have come from the heart. I'm certain of it.
Yes, certainly it was. It's when Bill Gates, remember when he was hiring all the Vegas strippers to fact check us? So I called it fake checking. Right. I exposed Dr. Fraudchi. And listen, we've got so many things to talk about today that I really want to keep us on topic, because you have got some inside information from your days in the mortgage industry that I want to be able to ask you questions. We have some viewers that are tuned in live. David, thank you for joining us. Pamela, thank you for joining us.
I'd like just to make a quick statement, just so that
sure. Yep.
From here. Listen, when we talked about the Pandora's Box,
yep,
it is related. Very related. You see the Epstein files? Maxwell was in New Hampshire, right? Bill Shaheen, the guy on my $50 million settlement, the architect of there, he was her attorney. Remember Lullen, the U.S. attorney? He arrested Maxwell. And you can't see the Epstein file. Right. So what I'm telling you is, I'll explain to you what you're seeing. There's abnormalities here that have never happened.
Well,
you're calculating interest rates that the calculations never have. And listen, I just briefly, I was the number one broker in the United States when there was thousands of them. I forecasted for Fannie Mae in all their training manuals and through all their other brokers and them as far as what direction. I'm telling you, for 35 years, the idea with mortgage industry, as you will tell, it's steering through uncertainty, knowing when to duck and when to move and so forth. It's a moving investment. But being able to tell and forecast the future is absolute in the mortgage industry, and that's what I did. And the irony is that what I did became how you catch cheats and crooks, by forecasting their moves. Okay.
Well, and Mike, one of the things that I think a lot of Americans may not realize is, all these mortgages are kept under under the names of trust, that aren't to be trusted, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I do want to say that today we are not giving financial advice. We are not giving you mortgage advice. We are not giving you advice at all. This show is for pure entertainment. We are just giving background of what Mike knows, background of what I know in the manufacturing.
You know what? I can tell you, this is only on me.
Yep.
The advice I'm giving you is as solid as you're ever going to get in this lifetime about this subject. 35 years, number one in the country and listen, this is the ABCs of bullshit. This isn't very hard to see what's happening.
Yeah, because it is difficult for people to see what's happening, and it's very critical to see what's happening. And the reason I wanted you on, Mike, is because I do believe we're about to have a major financial collapse. We have watched politicians prop up things like cryptocurrencies that have fallen, that aren't even real. People don't really know what to believe. We've had in the local Miami government, we've had our politicians from county level to city level work with Sam Bankman-Fried. The moment we had an actual veteran that worked for President Trump try to run for election in 2025, they then wanted to cancel the elections. And I'm not joking, ladies and gentlemen, this is not. And it actually reminded me of some of the things that, Mike, you had gone through. They will do anything to cover up their crimes or potential alleged crimes, because I believe that they have been caught in many ways, and that they are indeed exposing themselves by running. Just think about it. Whenever you're trying to cancel an election, why would you go to such extremes?
I can explain that too.
Okay.
And listen, I've been doing it 20 years. If I can't, who can, right? What people don't understand is who's behind of all this. It's the Department of Justice, who is in the same as the FBI. Okay. So in other words, that's a protection network. It's a protection of cartels, pharmaceuticals, insurers, big banks, but most importantly, the blackmail operation in our Senate and our Congress. And think about this. You want to know what our rates are high, and what we're doing in inflation? It's not cost inflation. The 10-year bond went down by not cutting interest rate. And I'll explain what Powell had to do that. But the point being is that we're into a decline because we're a bad risk. We're being risk graded. In the mortgage industry, if your credit's slower, right, they'll charge you a little higher rate. You'll be charged a higher rate. That's inflation. Everything else says inflation should be tanking, should be going down, everything. So why isn't it? It isn't because our currency, our dollar. And you know why? They're crashing our dollar. I'll bet you how many people out there know that our dollar went down 11 cents from January to June. 11%, your dollar went down. And you know why all these criminals are selling crypto? Because when you start taking your dollar and you can't pay your debts, they're going to have you shift your rest of your assets to make-believe money. And it's like a Ponzi scheme. They're going to rip you off. As they steal your money, they buy land. They buy tangible, hard assets, gold and silver, and not stocks, tangible. So no, we are going into a recession of our lifetime. I called the recession before, 08, 94. I called them years ahead and did television commercials. We are walking into something that none of us have ever prepared for. They have wiped out the middle class. They're wiping out home ownership. It is the intention. It is part of this plan. That's the core of this country.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you think we're just, this is for clickbait, this is not for clickbait whatsoever. These are the top stories regarding mortgage and refinance today. That's the reason I labeled this an emergency broadcast, because Mike, I wanted to know, what do you think, if you had a mortgage right now, let's say that you had a HELOC available to you, or you had offers being made to you, like, what would you do if it were your home? Let's just say, let's just use a round number of $100,000 loan. You have $50,000 in equity. Let's just take that as a round number. Because
something. I think this is how you have to go at it, okay? Because where every person, it's variable of where they are in their lives, their concern, or they're a young couple, or there's an older couple, they're going to retire. So what I would say to you is, first of all, your equity is at risk. What gets taken in value that you lose is the equity you have in your house. Now, depending on your situation, many people, their savings may be in that equity. So you want to protect it. So what I would tell you is I would try to take that equity and put it in like gold and silver and other assets other than my home. Now, I know you might have a lower first rate that you don't want to take a second, but it means it's the saving combined. Is the second going to be 200,000? Is the first going to be 50? So in other words, everybody's circumstances are little, but the mindset should be this. If I had that equity in there, I would take it out. If I had credit card debt, I would use that equity to pay it. If I even had installment debt, I would bring myself to as close to debt-free as humanly possible. Because, again, you're not thinking about making money. You're thinking about survival. You know what you've got to do as having an owner? Consider it to be business. Think outside of it being your home. Think of it being an asset that you have to use. Meaning you could lower your rates and save money, but use that asset and that equity. Now you should be pliable because no one's going to tell you when this fall ends. That's the thing that I don't like about this. You notice that Vegas is empty? Do you know why? That's one of the trips. Vegas is one of those discretional income, gambling income. So go south, they're the ones that go first. Guess what? You're taking a hit. You know, that's why Florida's taking a hit. You know why? There's many with the HOAs and so forth. But it's a second home empire, too. People will pay their first primary mortgage before they pay their seconds. So there's a lot of factors that are going to be coming down into this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Florida, a lot of people don't realize that Florida is mostly second homes. During the pandemic, it changed a bit. But what's happened is people realize, how crazy things are. They've not wanted to deal with the politics of Florida. They've not wanted to, in Miami specifically, they've not wanted to deal with things such as the inflation, the shutdowns of streets, believe it or not. They've sent the Florida Department of Health to shut down a lot of pools. I mean, why would they shut down pools that are 50 years old? I mean, in the name of Champlain Towers. Meanwhile, we've got some of the same attorneys that work for Champlain Towers working in our CPS. I mean, like, they can't be a perfectionist at all of it.
Here's the thing. You ready? What this corruption controls, the DOJ controls, they protect insurers. They can cheat you and rob you. Who are you going to call? A cop? Are you going to sue them?
Yeah.
That's how it's fixed.
Yeah.
That's how they get paid. And think about this. Ready? They're shutting this down and shutting that down. Ready? You know this big, beautiful bill? You know what it did have? And I talked to the people of Florida because you were a big horse breeding state. And I was called the glutton of Gulfstream, right? I know about it. Have you guys seen these horse auctions? Blowing up. Everything's going bad. Everything's slowing down. Yesterday, Saratoga auction, 4 million, 3.9 million. Trump in the big, beautiful bill made it 100% tax deductible when you buy a horse. 2-year-old, you can deduct the whole thing. So they're giving the wealth, the oligarch, tax breaks as they're cheating you. And think about this. This thing with Medicaid, it isn't Medicaid the problem. It's Medicaid fraud. You know who's committing all the Medicaid fraud? The cartels own your treatment centers. They own your hospitals. They're cheating us. And that $37 trillion you owe them, 76 of every tax dollar goes to that interest and that debt, which is why your rates are high. It's all related. You're broke, and that's how they took it.
So, Mike, you're saying that basically we have a debt over our nation in the form of bonds, and 76 cents on every dollar basically goes towards interest, not even to pay down the national debt.
Tax 100%. That means 24% is running this country.
Wow.
Where are you going with that? You're going broke. You know who knows this? And I'm telling you, I haven't figured out Musk. He may be just diabolical. You know what? He screams about AI being the most dangerous thing. And I'm not disagreeing. And then he has his AI company buy Twitter. Yeah. Then he turns around and says, the United States is bankrupt. We're whistling by the graveyard. We're going out of business. We're going broke. Yet he didn't audit the Senate or the Congress now, didn't you, little bastard? But he lit the fuse. See, I told you so. Then he throws Trump under the bus. He's in the Epstein files. Like that's going to disappear from Elon Musk. Now, he lit the fuse and stepped back. And let's not forget, J.D. Vance is the vice president. So in other words, these are all related. You're broke. They robbed you. That same Congress, that same Senate that is corrupt. And it seems like no one in disagreement that they're all corrupt.
Well, meanwhile, we've got Elon over. The majority of his company is pretty much in bed with China already. Most of the products are made in China, all while we're buying them, all while tariffs are going up on all products foreign, unless they're bringing things back here domestically. And we also have City of Miami basically giving away land and giving special permits to foreign entities such as that are very well connected to the Chinese government. I mean, it's like you can't even make this stuff up.
Think about
all while
this.
they're trying to cancel elections.
It's the marriage of the rich oligarchs to the Department of Justice. Department of Justice gives you immunity and puts you in jail. Who moved Maxwell? The Department of Justice. See?
Yep.
That's who's in charge. He makes a deal with the Department of Justice. Obama was a product of the justice. He never had a job. Harvard lawyer, worked for the Department of Justice. That's who he was from the beginning. Biden was just a shell. Now the answer is, who was the president when Biden? It was always the Department of Justice, and it's always blackmail, which is why Trump's in a position not to do anything, because in some way, shape, or form, he's in the Epstein files and can't open the door, and that's why he didn't open Pandora's box. And that's why we have to be in a position to save ourselves. And that's why Trump, when he says these rate cuts, think about this: 4.25, we're 4.22. I'm sorry, let's not bet. What I would tell you, if you wanted to find not Wall Street, but Main Street, what's going to happen to you? Follow the 10-year bond. Okay, right now it's 4.22. Now a bond is our country sending a promissory note. If you pay us, we'll give you this much interest. Our number 2 bondholder in the world is China. Our number 4 is the Cayman Islands, which is drug cartels. That's number 4 on the list. I mean, I don't know.
Well, and notice, like with the hospitals themselves, my grandmother was recently in the hospital, and they're definitely using AI in the hospitals. They had everything from like cuffs, your blood pressure cuffs are being taken. The blood pressure cuffs basically squeeze the patient's arm off, records everything as though it's the nurse. The nurses themselves, very few of them are actually American nurses that were born here. I often wonder, are we trafficking nurses themselves, from other countries?
Yes.
I'm here.
We're bringing nurses in. We're bringing foreign people. That's their experts visa plan too. But listen, they are wiping out the middle class. If you can't find a home, now think about this. Then who becomes a lot of the mortgage holders? It's Vanguard, right? And Black. What happens is you crash the market with them. They come in and buy everything for crumbs. The Chinese and drug cartels sell off our bonds, and then all of a sudden our rates accelerate, which is another reason Powell couldn't cut the rates. Powell's in a position. See, Trump's saying cut. I don't give a shit what happens next. If Powell cuts, you get into hyperinflation. You know what your debtors say to you when you cut the rates? You're not protecting our investment. We're pulling. Remember your dollar 11%? It keeps going down. And your dollar
what do you think we should be advocating for? What do you think sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but what do you think we should be advocating for? Do you think President Trump is correct, or do you think the rates should not be cut? I mean, like, what is your opinion? It can't
be cut right now. They don't have to cut them. They're going to go down because we're crashing.
Okay.
On their own. If you hyperinflation this, it could all blow up. What's the sense of rates going down if you're paying double, if you're paying $20 for a pound of hamburger? That's what you're looking at. That's what Powell's saying. He's afraid of inflation. Think about this with the inflation thing. You ready? You know how stupid this was with Trump? Now, you're only paying tariffs they need another revenue stream to pay off the debt. Remember, 76%. So they're lying to you. Now, the tariff, you think China's going to eat it? No. You think Walmart's going to eat it? That'd be the day. You eat it. it's a tax on you. They're going to say, we used to survive with tariffs. Yeah, without income tax. Now you're getting both. You're paying both. Now,
and it's unconstitutional for them to actually be charging us income tax and property tax. So what would be your message to that, like in terms of the income tax?
What I would just finish by saying is just on this. If they're raising, I just saw another 25%, 50% China and all this, those tariffs come out in inflation. Prices going up. So Trump's saying cut rates. Powell saying the tariffs will raise inflation. You're turning around and playing with, roll the dice. It's 25 today, 40 tomorrow. And markets hate that shit, by the way, instability. But the bottom line here, it's all inflation. And it hasn't even come in yet.
No, not yet. People think that it has, and we haven't even seen anything yet. As far as, they're complaining about eggs and gas and the little things like that. It's almost comical. And a lot of times I'm wondering if they're utilizing small things like that to make a big impact, to see like, what will the population do? And meanwhile, they're over here actually really raising everything. I mean, if we didn't notice, ladies and gentlemen, your toilet paper got smaller, your boxes of cereal
everything gets smaller. I noticed
everybody's gotten smaller. Okay,
McDonald's, that little hamburger that you thought couldn't get smaller. I'm eating a $5 value meal. I'm thinking, I go, what the hell is this? Before you could turn around and say it looked like me, but not now.
Yeah.
Even Chick-fil-A, and that's a treat for me. I'm going, it got smaller. Everything got smaller.
Yeah, well, my grandchildren love Chick-fil-A, and they eat their own Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and some Chick-fil-A's will let you buy a Chick-fil-A sandwich kids meal. So especially if you're a senior. So seniors out there, you may want to give it a try. So it'll save you a couple of dollars. You won't get as many fries, and maybe not as big of a drink, but
But it is true about everything. Listen, everywhere you look, we're being cheated. This tariff is taxing us again into a recession off the money they stole. You know what I say? You open Pandora's box. Why do you think Maxwell was in New Hampshire? She was leveraging them with their money. You think I was lucky? I was telling you guys about Pandora's papers by telling you about the laundering net before they existed.
That's right. And so Pandora's box and Pandora's papers is basically a money laundering scheme that's happened throughout the world. You definitely need to go back and watch our episode, Pandora's Box. If you didn't already, it's a great explanation. Mike did a great job. We played four corners at the very beginning so you can kind of understand. Mike, I'm also in touch with some of those journalists too that I'm actually advocating for them to come on with you, because I think that you could help them even connect further dots. I don't know.
I'm available always.
Okay, good.
And I will. And hey, listen, you can even bring on Flynn. You know what?
I've offered for General Flynn to come on. I've said,
yeah. Let me tell you what he said. He ain't coming on. Did I show you the text messages from Flynn reached out to me from the Oval Office? Right?
Yeah.
On December 18th, Flynn.
Well, maybe he might come on one day. Listen, I'm not controlled by Flynn.
Listen, you know who comes on and debates me?
Who?
No one. Don't forget, I was rich and famous before all this shit. Right? Yeah. The largest Brookwood world champion of thoroughbred racing. Grab that, boys and girls. The sport of kings. I kicked everybody's ass. Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, all of them.
To the point where didn't they sue you, Mike, and throw you out because you just kept winning?
Penn National, I called them out, and it's the same Penn National that offered me $25 million on tape in a deposition that opened up a casino in Maine, laundering for the drug cartel. They turned around, shut me because I turned around, was calling them out with the fixed races. They were money laundering offshore. Boys and girls, your casinos are corrupt. You have them in Florida too. And you know, that drug money coming in. Who do you think's buying your horses and fixing your races and using the wire service? Why do you think you guys are decoupling?
Can you tell a little bit about that? About exactly how? Let's say dollars go into casino, and we are all thinking, well, we're just going in to play a game of roulette, or you're going to play a game of blackjack, but tell how they actually utilize casinos to money launder.
Okay. See, the thing with casinos, they come with wires. Okay. and that gambling.
Explain
So
what
they
the
can
wire
go.
is. Explain what the
A
wire is.
wire is meaning you take a bet and you can send it offshore, like Singapore.
Okay.
And they take a gambling service, and you can bet your horse at Gulfstream that if you bet 5,000 on a race, you might move the horse from 10 to 1 to 3 to 1. They use track odds. So what they do is that you get 10 to 1 at Gulfstream, they fix the race, they wire the money to Singapore, you ain't make 100,000 at 10 to 1. The money comes back, ready? Clean. Remember how the money goes offshore, different country, comes back clean. Fix the race and clean. That's Penn National. I called them all out. And then they were paying me 25 with the laundering network. Wow. Multiple things, but it included them. And it's what, listen.
So hold on, wait. Let me try to explain this because I've never done this before. When you were on before, I didn't really think about it this way. So you had your horse. Your horse was genuinely like the best horse.
I had the largest racing stable. I had 400. I almost swore. I had 400 horses. Okay. Largest stable in the world. Go ahead.
Okay, so you had 400 horses. Okay. Racing horses, and you had jockeys that work for you. You had horse. I mean, so this is huge operation.
I had the largest barn and racetrack in the country. I owned outright.
Okay, so it's not like you were on these horses. Okay, so there's jockeys that work.
The size of the horse and the jock. So no, but yeah. I was the owner of the horse.
Okay, so you were the owner of the horse. So they came to you and they basically said, Mike, like, you're going to lose this race. You're going to make your jockey lose this race, right? So they came to you and said this, right?
Right.
In a roundabout terms. So tell exactly how it happened.
I can tell you real quick and how it even happened. And, this is going to be history, and it's on video. Listen, what they did was the racetrack is also bringing in your illegals, by the way. They give them state licenses so they can run around Florida, New Hampshire, and Pennsylvania with licenses. And that's where the drugs come in, haze trucks and all. Mm-hmm. But each racetrack, right? Not only is it a laundering network where it comes through, but they sports betting too. See, it's all wire service. Anything that can be fixed. It's not your blackjack games. They're already programmed for you to lose. Mm-hmm. It's the human element in this. Now think about it. That money that comes back, that's drug money. That's child trafficking money. That's where they go through. So when I said at Penn National, you know what they did? The head of this organization came to me. He was the stall man. The stall man runs the racetrack. When it's corrupt, it does. You don't get a stall if you don't play along. So what happened is I was in every race, but I wouldn't let them pull the horse, fix the race. I even one time jumped off the rail and went after the jockey, and they had it on television. I don't know if you could still pull it up.
Okay,
but I could run that. But my point being is, see, they fix it that way. So they came to me and said, hey, Mike, we're going to give you the winner. We're going to pull your horse, but we're going to give you the winner, and you're going to better be able to make more money in the bet. And then I went to the FBI and the U.S. attorney, and I put it all on video. And, I was on E60, the inaugural program, the first program of ESPN E60, the most hated man in racing. Right. But you know something? I told you they were all corrupt. I told you they were money laundering. What in 20 years have I told you that isn't true now? Even when we talked last, think about what I said then and where we are now. The Epstein files and Pandora's box are the same names. Who was campaign manager for Hillary Clinton? Oh, that's right, Bill Shaheen, Maxwell's attorney. Yeah, the guy on the 50 million. Yeah, that guy. Right.
Yeah, and it's you can't even make this up. You can't. I always say but we know that we're winning because there's so few of them. We just have to wait
a minute. We ain't winning yet. You don't know the enemy. The enemy is the DOJ. The enemy is playing both sides. Flynn is working with the DOJ. He worked with the insurrection plot. I broke up the brokered convention in Arizona. I have those assholes are on tape. That's Flynn now. So in other words, the DOJ is looking at Trump. Trump's going, every time you come close to me, have you noticed everybody they're going to call to the Senate all came from the Department of Justice? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
All lawyers,
Well,
right?
I know. I can tell you this: our FBI director, Kash Patel, was actually in the Department of Justice in Miami.
Of
He was in
course
the
he
AG's
was.
office here.
And
So,
guess what? So was Acosta, the
yeah.
U.S. attorney who let Epstein go, who worked for Bondi, who Bondi's the AG. Who's the assistant AG? Trump's personal lawyer. I mean, and that's what it is. They can't tell you. How do you know Bill Gates isn't in this? And Bill Clinton is in this? And all of a sudden you see those funds that they run, charitable funds. What if you find out that those funds are really money laundering? You know, those people in Haiti, we were all supposed to, all them millions and billions went. They didn't get saved and they didn't get helped. That's part of the Pandora's box. It's all through one laundering network. And I understand this is about interest rates, but
it's
really,
it's really all how it all works together, though, because it is all together. And I think
it is.
It's very hard for people to imagine how it affects you whenever they do
tremendously
something.
Now.
So they will short sale. They will, like, for instance, in my building, they came in, like, one unit may be sold for $225,000 like 1 week. Then another unit may be sold for $350,000, which raises the prices of all the units. And actually it should stay between, really 275 and 325. Let's just say.
I can help you on this because I've seen this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
That's your fallen knife. This is what happens. People get lenders redline, by the way. They won't tell you they will, but they will.
Lenders redline? What does that mean exactly?
Redline means whatever they bring you, don't finance them. Don't approve a loan in this area, meaning it's on the decline. And they don't want to do the finance thinking it's going to decline. They'll even do like a 5% or 10% deduction on the appraisal. But this is what you have. This is what happens when you have these falls. This is the setup. The setup is this. There's going to be eventually people, say, for instance, in a big 100 condo building. And people are going to have to then, maybe 3 or 4 of them have to walk away. They couldn't find a seller. And then they get auctioned. Now, that auction, distress sale, becomes your new comp. They use the low price. They used always the lowest price in an appraisal. They take the high, but they find a low. And then what they'll do, they'll find the second low. Mm-hmm. So what happens is it keeps on lowering the values by distress sales. Maybe someone lost their job. They couldn't pay. They turned around and had to walk away. You have enough stray sales, and then it becomes the dominant factor in the building. And all of a sudden, you go from 400 to 200,000 in a week.
Or worse yet, let me ask you a question. Is it legal for an organization to buy a property for, let's just say the price tag is 250,000, say that they lower the price to 200, and then they tell the owner over here, well, we're just going to give you another 75,000 in cash for something else. Or maybe we're going to give you some jewelry, or we're going to give you a handbag. Is that legal?
The still thing there is still it's a return of value or something like this. Right now, you have a value that's in decline that questions that anybody wants it. You've got to be in your mind to think like a buyer saying, when is this going to go down to a point where it's an attractive investment? And if you can't see the end of that, and I'm telling you it's 2 or 3 years away, then you're in trouble.
You're saying what is 2 to 3 years away? The collapse?
Any kind of recovery.
Oh, the recovery, yeah.
Anything. Listen, in 2008, I felt 2008 all the way up till 2016, 2017. There was a lull over the market. It was never what it was. It was never going to be exactly what it was up until, I guess, COVID.
Yeah, because I think COVID was actually done to collapse markets in various areas, and then also do a hike here in Florida, because that's what we've had this hike that we've had where, they want to tell you your property values are worth X. And that's what, I was wondering in terms of your thoughts on, pulling your equity out that they say is there, that maybe really isn't very much equity at all.
Well, you know what? It'd be worth the time to find out. So in other words, if your circumstances, for instance, if you're if the vast majority of your savings is in your equity,
Mm-hmm.
if you lose your job and you're in trouble after 3 or 4 months, and you have 30,000 in credit card debt, couple car loans, if you're in that position, you're in position not only to lose your job, but then your house and lose the equity and remain with all the debt and still be in a bankrupt situation. So by at least pulling that equity out, paying off that installment debt, paying off all credit card debt, putting a little savings away that says I have it maybe a lot longer to last under circumstance. I mean, again, it's like a business. What happens when a business in hard times? What do? They cut expenses.
Mm-hmm.
They go back to the bones and say, okay, what do we need to survive? What we don't. You've got to do that now, and you've got to do it before it happens. See, what's the sense of forecasting if you only react once it happens?
Yes.
Right? The idea is to miss the iceberg.
Yes, correct. Because I mean, the reality is you could be taking money out to actually pay that mortgage back, just in case something were to happen to your job. At least you could get by.
Well, if you almost paid your mortgage off, again, that's why it's always to the circumstance of the person. Your age is a circumstance too. Mm-hmm. If you're not going to sell your house and you have a small family and you're going to stay there, maybe your circumstance financially, everybody's different. But
yeah.
But I'm saying as a principle, under the circumstances.
Let me ask you another question. So when it comes to mortgages, can you explain to people about these mortgage servicers and what servicers often do to finagle and try to fool the public? Because there's a lot of RESPA issues that I feel like RESPA is basically a federal lawsuit that mortgagees can file against the servicers who may be fraudulently going after, people and individuals for, fake things like doing a hike on your insurance or saying that you don't have insurance when you actually do, or maybe your mortgage company has not applied your payments that you've actually paid them. Can you talk a little bit about your mortgage?
I can tell you that, because there was times I would sell directly to Fannie Mae and we're able to pick the servicers. What happens is Fannie Mae doesn't service your loan. They don't send you a bill. Okay. So Fannie Mae, what happens is for instance, take a loan and I approve it through the underwriting system of Fannie Mae. Once it closes, 3 days, it gets sold to Fannie Mae and it comes back. Now, what Fannie Mae will do is offer you servicing companies. And what these servicing companies do, they might be Bank America or something, or number of different
Nation
banks.
Star or Specialized Loan Servicing, or now Mr. Cooper, Nation Star, Rushmore, all acting as the same company, but yet they're not really. They're another brand, but they're somewhat out there fooling the public.
So what they are is they're Fannie Mae approved servicer. When you go on the Fannie Mae computer, they'll list the servicers. Now, what they'll do is they'll be sending you a bill, collect this. They're doing a service that Fannie Mae doesn't do. So there are a variety of services. I used just to use predominantly the major services like Bank America. I think I was one time Bank America's number one mortgage holder in the United States. But comparable mortgage holders. And listen, if you have trouble with payment or taxes, and sometimes I know that's sometimes mortgage holders, but that's why they are, because Fannie Mae don't want that call.
Yeah. And let me ask you a question. So did you ever experience anything such as, for instance, RESPA basically stands for Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, which allows borrowers to sue mortgage companies for violations. So these are just some of the things I want our audience to know that they can watch out for, such as loss mitigation. If a mortgage company forecloses while a buyer is pursuing loss mitigation options, that's a violation. Error notices. If your mortgage company fails to respond to error notices via qualified written request or notice of error, can lead to a lawsuit. Referral fees. RESPA prohibits kickbacks and unearned fees for referrals, such as settlement services. Lawsuits can also arise when mortgage.
You know what I can give the common person the exact procedure to do from a perspective of the mortgage company. If you had a problem, you have an issue, you tried to work it out with them and it didn't work out, you're not satisfied. Exactly what you do is call the banking commissioner and turn around and say, I'd like to file a complaint. Now, they'll call the mortgage company, and after they pass out a little bit, they'll turn around and get to your issues, if there are. And if you were wrong, they'd explain it to the banking. But see, it doesn't cost you anything. It scares the hell out of the mortgage lender because they were afraid of a black mark. And it's a black mark with the mortgage, or the banking department, which is why they corrupted with the Pandora's box. They owned the banking department and banking commissioner, you see? So in other words, even cheating and stealing, even the LLCs, that's your Secretary of State and Banking Department.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. It is the LLCs are often directly under the Department of State, and who is also responsible for a lot of this, because I noticed that my friend Lucretia Hughes,
the Secretary of State next to the governor has to be the most corrupt person in the state.
Because I'm going to play this little clip for you because this is really interesting. So Lucretia Hughes, she is an on-air personality and advocate. Her house was actually recently foreclosed upon, even though it was totally paid for. They came up with a saying that her grandmother, her husband's grandmother, actually took out a loan, and when she took out the loan, they said that she took out the loan, but they've had two expert
Wait a
witnesses.
minute. Did the grandmother own the house that took out the loan?
The grandmother owned the house, but she did not take out the loan. They have confirmed that the grandmother's signatures were fraudulent. Like it was actually fraudulent.
Do they know who took out the loan?
They believe it was actually the attorney. Believe it or not, there was an attorney that filed the paperwork.
I could believe it.
Yeah, the attorney filed the paperwork. Was also the notary. So,
and then what I would tell you is, where did the money get transferred to? Now,
right, that's what they're asking. That's what they're asking. They're actually asking, where did the money go?
And do you know something? Do you know where they were released the money to? Potentially to the person who didn't get it, or to the lawyer.
Yeah, that's what we're wondering, is if this has actually occurred. I mean, it's crazy what she's gone through. I mean, let me see if I can bring some of this up, because I think
is she an older woman?
She is. Lucretia's probably 50 or so.
They play these games with the elderly all the time.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they actually, what they did is, like, you can, like, it doesn't even take a rocket scientist to look at this and go, okay, this is all the same signature. This is the attorney's signature here. Everybody keep this in mind. I know that this is not a good profile of it, because this is it's like a screenshot or something. But anyway, this is the attorney's signature. And she's saying that these two signatures, they've already had an expert witness. These are the only, her husband's signature, I believe, is supposed to be this one. He wasn't even in town the day that this was signed. There had to be 3 signatures on this piece of property. And it looks
to me is that he got the check. He had the power of attorney. He could have even what they do is a hold an escrow. So he'll put the check in his account so he could draw out of it. So in other words, if he's not the suspect, who the hell is?
No, but he's not. I mean, so he's the one who's actually filed the lawsuit. The two of them are the ones that actually filed the lawsuit, because he did not get the money. They do not know where the money is at. So
listen, it's moved electronically. So if someone's saying they can't, I find it hard to believe that they can't trace that electronic.
Yeah, but that's what they're saying. Like, they should be able to, right? Like, that's what they're asking.
Of course they can.
They're asking the Department of Justice, please help them, like, find the money, believe it or not. And like, at first, no one was helping them. And so they finally got an
this lawyer, anybody of power or substance or political or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, the attorney, believe it or not, is the attorney that they managed to get is a younger attorney. But this is them. So, and it was a Black attorney. So this is Lucretia here. And this is her husband, Dave. His grandmother was actually CPA for Anheuser-Busch. Okay. So of course her house was paid off, and they began to get these notices. They thought they were fake at first, like, because they're like, when the house is paid off, like, we never had a mortgage on this house, right? That was their thoughts. So basically they realized that his name had been forged on these documents. His and his grandmother's signature had been forged on the documents. That's what experts have said so far. So basically he got an attorney. The attorney, I don't really think that attorney knew what to do. So he was like basically trying to play along with the mortgage company. Meanwhile, they had filed with their sheriff to let the sheriff know, like, this is
something. If they put in a mortgage application with the lender, what does it say on the application? Who took out the loan?
Yeah.
Who signed the application, which would be any kind of a lie, would be a federal crime.
Right.
So what I would tell you is, whatever lender lent the money would have had to have an application. They are required by law to keep that application for at least 3 years. So in other words, who's on that application is the mystery.
Yep. So this is basically, since 2017 they've been at this, but this is basically this is his handwriting. This is what they're saying was, the fraudulent document. So the handwriting.
That Ponzi scheme that I caught, FRM, 402 victims. You know what it was? They were having 8, 9, and 10 mortgages, first mortgages on single-family homes all across the state.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's what they did here, too.
What they do is they pull the lien off the deed. So if you look for the title of the deed, the lawyers pull it off. So you may find properties now with having a mortgage. You may find properties with 3 and 4 mortgages. That was the Ponzi scheme. And each one think they're the first. So it's all about lifting the liens.
Wow.
Wouldn't it be funny if this was part of a Ponzi scheme, if they kept on doing this? Meaning this isn't a first time kind of thing. And if this guy's a real estate attorney, and if he's doing it here, what's to stop him doing it other places?
Right. Well, it's actually a woman. It's actually a female that did it originally. So it is a female.
Listen.
It's a black
I'm not saying a female would do it.
Woman. It's actually a black female that did it against a white woman. And what's not really funny, but is kind of funny, is I don't think the black female, Lucretia says the black female never thought that she would be doing it against another black female. So, she says that it's definitely a reverse racism thing where, you've got this black attorney who will not show up in court right now, is my understanding. The entire ordeal took place before the state law passed that now requires people to have their ID verified before changes are made to a property deed. So they knew that they didn't have to have it. Let's play this episode. Let's just play this little clip, Mike, so everybody can see it.
I compared TurboTenant to multiple other softwares. I wanted to do cost-benefit analysis of
commercial, everybody.
Big change, Brad. Thank you. A Walton County family says someone stole the deed to their home and then sold it at auction, and now they're in a legal battle to get it back. Channel 2 investigative reporter Ashley Lincoln is live with how it happened and why no one has been held criminally responsible.
Yeah, Linda, the family tells me that they tried to warn that mortgage company that that deed was allegedly forged before the sale of this property went through. And now that it has, the family tells me they're taking legal action against this company.
I want my home back.
It's a battle James and Lucretia Cloken have been fighting for more than 5 years.
It's heart-wrenching. This is the only place I've ever called home.
In 2019, the couple says they started receiving letters claiming thousands were owed on a reverse mortgage. After James was appointed power of attorney over his late grandmother's property, they began looking closer at the paperwork. That's when they discovered James's name had been forged on the warranty deed. The couple filed a complaint with the Walton County Sheriff's Office, but investigators ultimately told them it was a civil matter. The Colkins then hired a handwriting expert who confirmed that the signature on the deed did not match James's real handwriting.
And it accumulated us losing our home because of forged documents.
By then, it was too late. The forged deed had already been notarized by a closing attorney and a witness the couple says they never met. The home was foreclosed on due to the reverse mortgage. The Kokens were eventually evicted.
All of the forgery and all of the signatures was stamped on September the 23rd of 2017.
The Kokens filed a lawsuit against Maverick Land Company, LLC, which bought the home at auction. They say Maverick moved forward with the purchase even after they informed them the mortgage documents were forged. James says the company later offered more than $300,000 to settle and avoid litigation, but he refused.
None of this can happen unless you have someone in a power, in authority to stamp on paperwork, to push it through the system.
And according to that Walton County Sheriff's Office investigative summary, that closing attorney was set to testify, claiming that she saw James sign that document. That's something he has denied. And we did find out that that closing attorney never testified during that hearing. Now, the Kokens, they have started a fundraising account to help raise legal fees because they're representing themselves in the court. Now, we did reach out to the Maverick Land Company for a statement. The closing attorney has not responded. Reporting live tonight in Loganville, Ashley Lincoln, Channel 2 Action News.
So there we
I
go.
can solve this crime.
Yeah, you can. I figured, Mike, you could help solve it.
What's the key word in all what they were saying?
Well, you pretty much have the state. You have the sheriff. Okay, I don't know. So I'm going to say
Reverse mortgage.
Reverse mortgage. Yes.
Wait a minute. Why is that key? I'll tell you why it's key. Because you could have a mortgage, reverse mortgage. It's a reverse mortgage that sends you money every month, right? Off of your equity. So in other words, you're living in your house, you own your house, and they're getting the money in your reverse mortgage. You don't. You're not getting notified. You're just not getting paid until you turn around and move, and then you have a lien. That's how you found the reverse mortgage. So they're doing reverse mortgages so you don't catch on. You could live in there 10 years and they're getting paid. And you don't know because you're not refinanced. You're not taking it out there. They're doing it. Reverse mortgage, meaning, and here's the other clue. You ready? They can only do it through the lawyers. So you know who the suspects are? The lawyers are the ones doing it. They're the ones that can pull your title, pull the deed, right? All of a sudden, then drop on a reverse mortgage, use your name's power of attorney. Who could cash the check? Your lawyer could. Only could, and you. There it is. It's the lawyers running a scam. God only knows how many, and I'll bet you there's a ton of reverse mortgages on people's houses. They have no idea.
Yeah, and I want everybody to make sure that you go and check your deed. Lock your deed, everybody. What it's
called? It's called mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance. When you close or refinance, you get mortgage insurance. You know why you get mortgage insurance? If something screwed up with the mortgage or the deed, you don't get hooked.
Yeah, because that is extremely dangerous what's happening there. So Dave was saying, how do we check if it's happening to any of us, Mike?
What you do is, first I pull a credit report on myself to see if something comes up that way, any kind of mortgage or financing. And then I would turn around and go to town hall and ask to pull my deed, ask for some help, and see if there's any liens on the property. Okay. Or what they call is UCC lien, mortgages, liens on the property. But I would check. I'm telling you, as soon as they said reverse, I go, oh, I got you, little bastards. I know what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because and can you explain, Mike, what a reverse? And let me also tell one other thing that your county may have that Miami-Dade County now has is actually they will do a lock on your deed so that they notify you if you're welcome, Dave. They will notify you if for some reason anything changes with your deed. Because they said it was like becoming such a fiasco here in general because of all the elderly and all.
They target the elderly. You know why they target the elderly? Because listen, the Ponzi scheme that I caught was 95% elderly because the elderly pass away. The elderly don't have years or income or time to fight you in court, particularly when you're lawyers and own the judges. And that's what's going to happen in Florida.
Yeah. Pamela says reverse mortgage sounds familiar here in Miami while older people are approached about creating them during their hard times. Yeah.
So what I would always say with someone, if you're retiring and you don't have a lot of assets, you pay for your house, you got a $400,000 house, and you're getting $2,500 a month. So what you do is, and you're 70 years old, you take a reverse mortgage. So you still own the house for the life of your life, and a certain payment then goes to you. So maybe you get $2,000 or $3,000 a month. In addition to your $2,000, now you're making $5,000 that makes the rest of your years easier. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
in some cases, and how about this? What if you had the property? You can't even afford the property taxes. A reverse mortgage means that no one's taking your property and stealing all your equity too.
Mhm.
So for like mortgages, like I said to you, all situations are slightly different. And that's what I do. You turn around and mold a plan together with each individual situation.
Well, and when it comes to elderly, we do have elderly people listening, one of the stories that I want to tell here is we've actually had an issue in our building where we had former board members that were trying to reverse mortgage properties for elderly people, giving them money. And it just so happened to be an elderly person who was a veteran who they knew was like addicted to, some type of painkillers. And I think they were genuinely, and this is just my instincts tell me that they were hoping that that amount of money would just be enough for him to, take himself out, because at the same time they would have gotten the property for like $5,000 or $10,000.
This is what I can tell you with certainty. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Running state of corruption. I would deal with, the cartels issue, corruption in this, corruption in this. You know what was on one of the tops of the list? Nursing homes. You know who owned them? Drug cartels.
Yeah.
What? Right. And guess what? They keep you in there. They have you sign over all your assets. The next thing you know, you have an overdose.
Yep.
They steal everything. At the end of your life, everything.
Mike, the homeless shelters have actually told me the same thing. Veterans in homeless shelters have told me that they have, many of them have had their entire pensions taken. They have their Social Security taken. They can't even afford to eat, but they prefer to stay on the streets versus having anything. But they don't even know how to get their own Social Security back so that they can, just sleep underneath bridges, because they said that the homeless shelters themselves are so dirty and the showers.
I happen to be homeless.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying to a real touched level. I see families in these little rotten hotels, children. I see people who were veterans, people forgotten, places that they're just waiting to die, one bad day after another. I'm in a place where every week somebody goes in out on a stretcher. And that's the shame of all this. We forgot those people. Listen, I turned around and was fighting the corruption and so forth for the elderly with that. And now I'm elderly and home. And you know what? Nothing changes my legacy and what we're doing here. And I understood the importance, and I picked this door, and I wouldn't change a damn thing. But it's systematic. It's protection. Somebody's protecting these people that are feeding off of our elderly. Think of else who they attack. They attack our children. I mean, with drugs and opioids, and then they own the treatment centers. Can you imagine somebody fighting for their life in the same cartel, owning the treatment centers, then making you go broke by charging you for the Medicaid on the addiction, which now that they're addicted, they have them on the streets working for them.
And then sometimes if people want to, try to do the right thing and open up another facility or something like that, they have problems doing things such as
you don't get licensed.
You don't get licensed. You don't get your building permits. You don't get the grants. I mean, it's like you can't even imagine the problems. And that's actually one of the first things that I realized when I moved to Miami. And there was literally a handout wanting, money for me just to open my businesses with a CO. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not, like, what is this? Like, run by the drug cartel? Like, I mean, I had no idea it was as bad as it was. I mean, I've opened things in like third world countries that haven't been as bad as it was here. So, and this is the home of Cocaine Cowboys, ladies and gentlemen. Then if you haven't watched that, go for it. Watch Cocaine Cowboys.
They say it built the skyline of Miami.
Yeah. Yep.
Now we're walking into the world, a different world of fentanyl.
Yep.
Now, in 2016, I got the largest seizure in history. It's all on video. You see me delivering it, and then you see them getting it. A tractor trailer. Fentanyl is synthetic. They make it here. I had a factory in Boston. They're not coming over the border with the Mexicans and so forth, the Colombians. They're not taking charges on. Listen, it's cheaper. You can control it. You can make it here. They opened the borders to put those crimes on your streets. That's distribution. Fentanyl's here. That's why all of a sudden we're invaded by the Chinese. Maine, New Hampshire, buying lands, buying water, fentanyl.
Georgia, same thing, buying all types of land in Georgia, from manufacturing land to farmland to chicken plants.
Bill Gates is the largest farmland holder in the United States. And if we open the Pandora files, which they'll never let you, you might find that Bill Gates is in there and owning our farmland. And think about this.
We know Bill Gates is in the Epstein files because his wife divorced him.
So let's find out what extent he is. But think about the diabolicalness of this. He's tied to the COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now think about owning farmland. What does that mean?
Yep.
I can tell you, I think I have an idea. By owning farmland, if we're into the recession of our lifetime, all of a sudden everything, prices is going down. You know what's valuable? Someone says, Mike, what do I buy? Buy land, buy farmland, grow stuff, be self-sustaining in a time of hell. What did they do? Buy the farmland.
Yes.
So in other words, they're anticipating your move, which is this game of chess, which is the same game that Musk is playing. And he puts a rocket into Mars. He's out thinking Trump at this point. You see?
Maybe. And one really interesting thing, Mike, after our last conversation, I realized I was talking to my grandmother about it, and she said that my great grandfather never, ever, ever mortgaged land. He always mortgaged the animals. They wanted the mules. That was the mortgage. The mortgage was on the mules, it was just a loan on the mules. They would come and get the mules if for some reason my great grandfather didn't pay them back for money, which he normally used to buy seeds and other things. So, and this is not going back that much further. I mean,
absolutely not. This is what should concern people. We're losing the value of money. You're seeing influencers, kids on there spending $2 million there, $3 million there. What happened to building stuff? Going back to the land. I'm going to tell you something. Where we're going, basics are going to be important. Overhead, owning land. What I would tell you is own the land. You know all the properties I had? Cash. I owned everything. I never took out that mortgage.
Well, if there was anything you would do differently, Mike, I mean, speaking of that, what would you do differently? If there was anything, if there was just a door that you didn't walk through for us, I mean, I commend you.
You know what? There's
everything.
Oh no, I love those billboards with the faces of those cartels and politicians on there. I wouldn't do that if again. I invited them over for shootouts. I wouldn't change a thing. And they were on podcasts.
I'm going to try to bring it up while you're talking. So keep talking, and I'm going to try to bring up these
something. I think all of us would change something. You know what I would change? The fact that I trusted so many people. In other words, I would change that. You know what I did? I saw the mole or the turn into the person, but I cared about that person. And when you don't want to see it, you talk yourself out of seeing it, and it puts you late in the game. And that cost me and put me back on a few places. But you know something? It's the size of what this is. And you know what I found? The size and the power of this will turn anybody. It's the Department of Justice. It's the FBI that extort you. It's the IRS that'll order you and extort you. We are fighting everybody. But you know something too? Right. I put them up on my signs. Corrupt politician. I put the faces of cartels on there.
3 years. If the truth means anything,
Governor,
and it's freedom of speech, then I'm going to keep running them on the signs. In the next couple of days, I'm going to keep telling you more. I'll give you an education on that sign. I'll call them up. I want people to ask questions. I want people to go to the feds and go, why don't we check this out? I'm asking us to ask the questions in numbers. All I'm asking you to do is let's investigate. Maybe I'm crazy, but nobody's suing me. Now you think about that. These law firms have been known to sue people.
Wait, they sued you. They sued you after you said this?
Well, they sued me after I found their laundry network that was doing the laundry, started running for governor, and tried to murder me 3 times as they sued me.
Oh,
you think they were sending me a message? Boy,
Yeah.
you know what? I used to have $5,000 suits. Bentley used to make them from England and ship them over. and now I got a T-shirt on ready that I swear on my kids that a homeless guy gave to me in the parking lot 2 days ago. It was in a package, and I said no at first, but he's a real skinny guy, and it had XX. That's this shirt.
The AG's office
had better clothes than I did. Go ahead.
That's
This is
hilarious.
a cover-up. If I'm wrong, show me and tell me I'm wrong. I'll show you where I'm right.
How about this? You want to win a fight, you got to be in a fight. I put their faces on the sign, but do you know what I knew? I know who they were. I had to get Bill Shaheen out of his hole. I had to put the faces of the cartel so you would know. You didn't think I knew that the judges were corrupt? Of course I did. I assumed I'd be dead.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of stuff, where people want to say, that you didn't know what you were talking about or whatever. Let's just play a clip of this.
Faced with new dilemmas that affect them profoundly.
Boy, you're going back some time on this.
Injustice, discrimination.
This guy became the state senator, and he flipped.
Scandals and cronyism.
Oh, he flipped.
Oh, you bet your ass he did.
Hold on. So here
is the corruption found in our judicial system. And
that guy, Kevin Abard, state senator, flipped like a top.
Victim, who refuses to be a victim, at the same hand that everybody.
Boy, this might be like 13 years ago.
Yeah, we might have to do this one all by itself. Well, I'll stop it there today because we're out of time. But
think about that. That's a state senator that I was funding the program, $10,000 a month to help people with justice in courts. He flips for Sununu. I mean,
yeah. Well, let's actually talk just a little bit about that, about the media, because I think people don't understand that there are media buyers. Okay, so they actually buy the time that you're watching. I mean, like right now, Mike, am I paying you?
No.
Are you paying me? Are you paying me? Okay.
We're just, not unless you want the shirt, but go ahead.
We're just having a conversation here. But the reality is, whenever you see people on the media, a lot of times that is a paid spot for them to be on. So it's paid propaganda. There are people from the Chinese Communist Party that are out paying, for spots to be on Fox News. Because I've had people ask me, like, you're much better. Why aren't you on Fox? Why aren't you talking about this? I'm like, because the person that you saw paid for the spot to be there, and I'm not paying them for.
And Blackwater also owns Fox too, right?
Yeah. And then Blackwater owns Fox. Yeah, and there's no telling who owns it today.
I can help you with the media.
Yeah.
Ready? In fact, you'll see videos that I did 13, 14 years ago. Media, FBI, courts, right?
Yeah.
We're back here again.
Yeah.
Much of the media, particularly your influencers, particularly your podcasters, are CIA and Flynn. It's intelligence. It's MK Ultra. Listen, that meeting that I had in Arizona, Shelby Bush confessed 98% of the podcasters were CIA. She was in the meeting at Washington, CIA. You get it? That's who they are.
Yep.
And they get away with stealing and robbing from you?
Yeah, CIA runs our media here for sure. I mean, I call us the cocaine importing agency here in Miami.
It's all media.
Miami Mafia, yeah.
Look what's funny thing is. You know what? I got a prediction, and I know you're out of time, so I'll make this prediction. Yeah. The money, follow the money. Ready? The money is moving to the right. Whoa, to the right. You notice they had Chris Como the other day going, I've sinned. I'm sorry, I was wrong. He's trying to shift. Tucker Carlson throws Ted Cruz under the bus, and he just called that guy, was it Mike, the head of Congress there from your state?
Mike
Johnson. He just called him weak. I mean, you might as well just have shot him.
Yeah.
But you see, they're attacking those pieces. The door's open. Ready, boys and girls? The money is telling the truth. Who would have thought it? All of a sudden, they're breaking out this. Tucker's turning around. You see the division in there. The money may be telling the truth. So if your ass isn't too guilty, the money is turning around and saying, hey, listen, we've all heard them lie for years. Only we've heard is lies. I mean, we have these guys on podcasts telling us about shapeshifters and werewolves. Right, Ariel? You crazy bastard. Right? Rather than, listen, anything to take you off of common sense. Yeah. So here they did. Ready? They own it all. Yeah. It's your mind. They've got to convince you that your eyes are lying to yourself.
Yeah. Even not only mainstream media, but they've actually bought a lot of even media that doesn't get banned. I know that David, thank you for being on here. And David said he's been sharing and he can't believe we have so few viewers. That's because we're blocked.
I mean, David, that way. They go, Mike Gill, they go, Doc.
Yeah. And people will manage to find it. We are on Rumble as well. But I prefer that we promote the YouTube show because we haven't talked about anything. We're not talking about anything that should be censored. Who knows? I mean,
you remember when I came into this podcast world, all the Flynn podcasters, ready? They told you once that he's the closer. Pedro Underground, the most important whistleblower in history. Elvira was making a movie about me. All of they were telling you who I was. I was on their show and blow all their records. Why now? Because I won't play ball and it's game time. And the best they got is trying to keep me quiet, and good luck with that. Not that they're not doing a pretty good job, but everything I do when I speak on here from now, listen, this is what I know for sure. I'm not sure I'm going to be here, but you're going to figure it out, and you're going to figure out who and what I was and what I've done. I guarantee you, you see all those videos still on State of Corruption? They didn't get taken down. Why didn't they? YouTube flicked those one down because it's evidence, because it's blackmail. So one day you will know. Let's hope it's sooner than later for all of our sakes.
Yeah, no kidding. And I think a lot of people have also backed up some of your videos and stuff. So we'll have to go through some of those. Pamela says we need to have you back on to go down the media rabbit trail. I think that would be good too, Mike.
Well, I've got videos to show you, cuts to show you. I've even got an Epstein Maxwell to show you in July of 2020 that I told you what was going to happen, what was going on, and where we are.
Well, what's funny is I see on your Twitter too, where people are, where it looks like maybe Tucker's going to invite you to be on his show, which would be great if he did. I think listen, the more the merrier,
I'm prepared to be interviewed by Satan. As long as, and no offense, by the way, and I'm not referring, but my point being is, I'll deal with at the platform of Tucker. Listen, my path is to have you hear what's really going on. And if it means someone like Tucker, it's because Tucker decided to go, you know what I should do? I should tell the truth. That's the market. I mean, they just canceled Howard Stern. You want to talk to left is getting smoked? Who's the other guy, that late night host guy that got smoked this week too?
Yeah.
I mean, you notice how the liberal side, because the money's not in it. The money's here. So if they're following money, telling the truth.
Oh, Annabelle says, this is funny. Annabelle says that Fox loves to advertise reverse mortgages too.
But you know something? Some reverse mortgage companies, this isn't a reflection on the first mortgage company. They were conned by the lawyer.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. It wasn't them. They're paying that lawyer.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, everybody says thank you, Mike, for everything. And I thank you for coming on, especially last minute, because I definitely want to get this out, because I thought it's super important. We never know when we might be able to help them at the last minute. Listen, and everybody knows that if you watch Patriots Perspective, I love to have all different perspectives on. I've had General Flynn on, I have Mike on. That's the reason I tell you both, don't I, Mike, all the time.
You tell him. You tell that coward to come on and I'll kick his ass. And he can explain reaching out to me. And he can explain the insurrection. Bring him on. And he can bring his little hamster out, Raiklen, with him. He'll need help. And listen, I'm the guy that got rich without stealing shit. You think I'm afraid of that mole? Here's the thing, ready? If they could do it honestly, they would.
Well, I that's where we'll disagree, Mike, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree.
Does he have LLCs in Florida?
I imagine he probably does.
Imagine, I know for 100% he does. Right in Sarasota, ain't that true? I don't think you can. And then and Brummel meeting with Vandersteel in Florida too, right? The trafficker, Evergreen. Yeah. Listen, I got him, and he knows it. And if he thinks he's going further, it goes through me. Now, maybe no one else knows it, but all his minions know it, and all his minions told him who I was to flip my ass, and you should have learned in 20 years. I'm playing this for the trophy and to the end.
I believe you, Mike. I believe you. Now, thank you so much. Really, seriously, thank you for coming on and sharing your insights with them about the mortgage industry and about the Florida condo collapse. Because like it could save some families, and from being
100%.
Yeah.
When I'm in this business, my thought was save money. Take a 30 down to 15. Turn around, you're going to lose your equity. You're going to go broke. You're going to go bankrupt. I was there. If you shouldn't refinance, you shouldn't do that. I did that. Who would think being honest made you the number one broker in the country? It wasn't that I showed you a different mortgage. It's just that I told you the truth.
Yep, exactly. And thank you guys all for being on. Stacy, David, Pamela, Anna. I'm sorry if I've missed anybody. We don't have a ton of people on live, but make sure that you do share this because it genuinely could save someone in their home. It could actually help them in the future. I think Mike has given advice that even I'm going to consider taking myself. So Mike, I genuinely thank you, and God bless everybody. Make sure that you also follow Mike on Instagram because we need to wake people
up. Not Instagram, on Twitter. I'm sorry.
Twitter. Okay. But you do have an Instagram, right? State of Corruption _ Oh, you don't? Okay. That's somebody else evidently. Okay. So make sure.
Jesus.
Yeah, who knows? I know, Mike.
Well,
everybody
get to worry about.
Yeah. So I thought that there was State of Corruption, so I brought that up on the screen. So I apologize.
It's on YouTube. State of Corruption YouTube. There's two accounts: State of Corruption, Mike Gill, State of Mike Gill, New NH. All right. Okay. But it's videos that go back 12, 13 years, up to the 20. But tell me where I was wrong. Tell me when I turn around and say this is, and all I'm saying now, everything that I've said, we're full circle. Everything is coming to the point. That's why Epstein files. That's why Pandora's box. That's why the leverage and exposure of the Department of Justice. We're here. Listen, tell me, it can't get too much crazier than where we are.
Right. Exactly. It can't. And we do have ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to say this, but we do have the Chinese Communist Party, and we have a lot of other entities ruling us. And
they're number 2 in the debt. So the person who's saying pay up, number 2 position is China. And you're going to turn around and say, hey, I don't like you buying this. I don't like you selling this. They're going to say, how would you like us to crash your economy?
Right. Yeah. And I think we definitely have to bring manufacturing back to America. I hope President Trump will listen to some of what we've said here.
But that manufacturing with America, with Trump, with the big, beautiful bill is a terrible, terrible lying head fake. What it is you understand when you bring back manufacturing, let's say steel, you need 2-3 years of putting it together, getting the infrastructure together, the financing together. So in other words, if you think you're going to recycle because you're going to get all these new industries, it ain't happening. Yeah. And if they started today, 3-4 years from now, there might be an effect. Listen, the house is on fire and you're running around moving the furniture.
Yep. That's where we're going to end it. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. God bless everybody. Mike, God bless you. Hope that you get some more t-shirts from more homeless people. Send them our love, okay?
It didn't have to be my best one.
Yeah. And Mike does have a Give, Send, Go. If you go to his Twitter, I put the link. I'll put the link in the description. It's actually on the screen. It's Mike GIL21446-788 on Twitter. He has a link up there for his Give, Send, Go if you would like to send him anything directly. I am not involved. I do not get involved with, unless the Lord tells me to send anybody money. And you can send him money directly.
Listen, I hate asking for money, and I don't. And I hadn't for years. The fact is, I was worth 400 million. I was giving millions away. I just need money to get it's buying me time to go from this month to next month. And you see where I live, and you see where listen, I can't be questioned. Meaning I understand by not taking money, not selling shit, because I have to explain to you, and you have to understand it's too important that there's no motive for me. Listen, I'd be the only person on the internet who walked away was rich and famous. All of what they want is what I had. And I picked this door instead, assuming I'd be dead. And unfortunately, they didn't kill me. But you know what? We're still here. And of all these 20 years, and you tell me who's hung on to them this long and told you the truth and documented it. We're here and now, right here in this place. I need to buy just time. And hopefully it's not a lot of time. But I don't see it as a lot of time. I don't know if you guys feel this too. You don't feel like there's a convergence here? I mean, how about this? This is what I noticed, and I know him. Are you seeing, say, the normal right, the normal left? Do you find an emergence here that people are starting to think, hey, listen, we all got scammed. We were wrong about Trump. You were wrong about Biden. We were wrong. We were all lied to. When are we going to figure out we're all victims and the enemy isn't us? I think that just might happen.
Well,
Maybe
I think
that's why Elon Musk is talking about another party.
Yeah, well, I think too. Speaking of another party, everybody know there's I have an episode called Party Lies where I interviewed the Libertarian president here in Miami-Dade County named Hector Roos, and Hector is a very bright guy. And he basically said, what he recommended for the libertarians, because libertarians hold a lot of power in the United States, but he tells how the libertarians could help reclaim the Republican Party. He actually agreed with me.
And that's O'Keefe.
Yeah.
And that's the Mossad. That's Aaron Day, the Libertarian Party. Be careful.
Interesting.
That's your free staters. I know where that comes from. O'Keefe is Mossad. What does he do? Secret videos that he never shows you. What, a woman voting twice at 60? Stop the presses, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't tell you about trafficking. Who do you think gave me the drug cartel? James O'Keefe. Why? Because they wanted my laundering network. And then together, I put the cartel up on the signs. That's how they took me out.
Well, and also when it comes to what you're saying, Mike, too, I've actually turned over. I did something with James O'Keefe. I'm the one who broke the Dr. Fraud story on South Beach. So that's pinned to the top of my Twitter profile on Patriots Perspective, and my personal Twitter profile. It's actually pinned there as well. So you can go to both. And you'll see that's me breaking the Dr. Fraudchi story. He could have used my name. I gave him permission to use my name. I didn't try to hide behind it. And secondly, I actually gave him two other really important cases. One was actually John Walsh, who his daughter's Megan Walsh, who came forward, who's actually told everybody from Dan Bongino directly to James O'Keefe and his staff, specifically to.
Here it is. You ready?
Yeah.
The value is not telling anybody. So if you have something that's valuable, they'll use it as blackmail. How's the governments run? Blackmail and extortion. Yeah. Business, the same way. So what they do is they throw out the nonsense and you don't hear what's of value.
He recommended that I publish it myself. I mean, so he did recommend that, to be honest with you. He recommended that we just publish it ourselves. But however, that didn't get millions of views
what you would say if they would think you had nothing. If you think if they thought you had something but wanted you to think nothing, that's what they would say. Listen, he was also in Florida about a child trafficking ring, was given all the evidence, and the guy came forward and said he had it, and he shut it down and said he was afraid of legal. You know why? Remember now, O'Keefe came to me. I didn't go to him. He went to my house. They went to my businesses, the Project Veritas, all those assholes. So in other words, that's who he was. And it was Mossad. You know who knew what I had before I knew what I had? I was on the path to the laundering network. They're saying intercept him. That 50 million settlement from them, the names on the releases, is the Pandora's box. That's Bill Shaheen. Bill Shaheen to Maxwell? Think about that. Bill Shaheen to Hillary Clinton? I mean, can we draw this up?
It's all gonna come out. It's definitely all gonna come out.
Don't go there.
Yeah. You don't think so?
No, I don't. But I think what's going to happen is people are going to turn around and not accept not knowing the truth. And when you start getting lied to, you're going to have to now graduate and say, you know what? I ain't buying that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying it. Because listen, they can't tell you the truth because it would hang them all. They can't. So as obvious as it is that there's guilt and who's on the list, you won't get it. Because, ready? The alternative is worse than not telling you, which means they're guilty.
Yeah. I think we have a lot of guilty people out there.
Right.
And they,
including the ones that aren't saying anything. Listen, complicity is an innocence.
And they want to demean those of us who are, for sure. They need to arrest you. They need to take you down. They need to make it dramatic.
They know who's dangerous before you know you're dangerous. I was targeted before I had an idea. He could be a problem. You know how I know this? On a video, you see me reading from an AG's report that was years earlier. You know how they finished it? Mike Gill could be a problem for all of us. That was 3 years before I knew anything. They knew, that guy could be trouble. Keep an eye on him.
Yep.
That's how good they are.
Yeah. Well, listen, Mike, thanks for being on, man. I really appreciate it. I'll message you and hopefully we can get on again. Please make sure that you like and share this video. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a comment. Give Mike some love down below. Hey, do any questions? We'll come back and answer questions on the next video. Come on live. We're actually trying to set up everything for even a call-in show, Mike. But first of all, YouTube's got to make sure that our 980 subscribers actually know that we're live, because for some reason people are telling me that they have no idea. I've gotten so many messages even while we've been online saying that they don't even know that we're live. So
well, they'll get to hear it. I'll share it. We'll share it out there. They'll hear it.
Okay, sounds great, Mike. God bless you, everybody. Take care, and make sure that you do remember to treat others as you would like to be treated.
Remember, take action. Take action. Don't let big tech win. Share this video with a friend now. Most importantly, do unto others as you would have others do unto you.